Hey, friends, welcome back to the Pro Organizers Coach podcast. Today, I'm so excited. I have Lauren Litt. She is the CEO of Lil Shameless Plug, which I think is the cutest name ever. And she's the creator of Get Social Happy courses and her VIP days. If you don't like social media, but you know you need it for your business, which we all do, including me, Lauren can help you create a masterful social media plan with little effort on your part. Since opening her business in 2014, Lauren has had the pleasure of working with a variety of independent entrepreneurs, brick and mortars, coaches, and even an Oscar qualifying film festival. So thank you, Lauren, for being on the show. I'm so excited.
Thank you so much. It's like a little trip down memory lane hearing all of that. It's like, oh yeah, and I remember doing this and that. So yeah, thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So to catch you guys listening up, Lauren came into our group coaching community and she did our October workshop, which she taught that IG life. Like she went so deep on Instagram. And at first, I was going to take that workshop and we were going to take it and put it out on the podcast. The problem is, we used a lot of visuals, like it went very, very deep. Like it was something that you needed to see the video. And since it was part of the membership content, I needed to leave it in the membership. So we decided to come on and do a podcast episode and kind of stay high level. So today we're going to go from like a 30,000 foot view. We're going to talk about Instagram and give you some things you could implement today. And then if you want to come join us in the group coaching community, you can do like my ladies are doing and go rewatch the workshop over and over and over again, because there's so much value in it that you can't get it all from just one time watching. Like some of the girls the other day, one of the girls had asked something about, I think, carousels in the membership. And another one of the members was like, oh, I just rewatched the IG workshop. So here's what Lauren had to say. It was so funny, them going back and forth. And I'm like, oh, I love it that they're getting so much value from that one workshop. So thank you
Yeah.
so much for coming on and doing that.
Oh my gosh, teaching is such a joy to me. I love it so much. So it just warms my little heart in the 22 degrees that I'm experiencing today, that this is something that you all are able to use and able to go back to. Because the great thing about social media is when you understand the rules, which, that's really the way I approach all of social media, is like, let's understand the rules so we can play the game and bend it to work for us. And that means you don't have to worry about trends or what, audio is happening right now. Like, just know the rules and know what works for you, and you can move forward with any platform, really. So I'm just so happy that's working for y'all.
Yeah, well, and I thank you so much and with the way that you teach. I love that it aligns with how I teach, which is systems. Like, let's figure out a system that works for us. It doesn't have to be a system that works for someone else, but whatever that system is, let's figure it out. So then we can just implement, and then we can stay consistent, and then we can do all the good stuff that
Yes.
we need to do on social media. So
Yes.
first, let's talk real quick. You have three things that you love to make sure that everyone knows about Instagram. So let's talk about those first.
Okay, great. So we are going to do Instagram specific, but a lot of this, you can really kind of take it and apply it to any social media platform. If you're listening and you're a real big Facebook person, this also kind of works. So the three pieces that I think everybody needs to be doing on social media is, one, testing and tracking, which is so boring. And I know it explodes people's brains to have to look at the back end and the analytics, but you really honestly won't know what will work for you unless you know what's working for you right now. And so the easiest way to do that on Instagram is if you open up your phone and go ahead and go into insights, it'll say, or if you don't see that little bar across your profile in the upper right-hand corner, if you click the menu and go down to analytics and really look like what over the last 30 days of your content has worked. And don't just, it'll pre-sort for reach, which is great. New people seeing your stuff is always great, but you're also going to want to search for, okay, what got the most engagement? What got profile views, meaning someone actually came to your profile to look at you and maybe follow you. These are all things that teach us what is working for you on social media, because reach isn't going to get the job done. You all are all organizers. That's great if someone has seen the beautiful way you've organized someone's office drawer, which is the project I'm working on right now. But if I haven't clicked to follow you, that doesn't do you any good, because that means I'm not going to download your course or, hire you to come into my space. Like, I'm not going to continue a relationship with you. And that's really what we want, is content that builds relationships, which goes to the number 2 thing, which is content that works, right? So once you've looked in the past and said, okay, what are people actually responding to of mine? And what do I like to do? That's the other piece of that, making sure that content is going out consistently for you. And it's when you have consistent content, and when you have content that you're like, oh, people really love when I show a before and after in a carousel. I get a lot of engagement on a before and after photo. Well, we want to make sure every time you go into a job, you're taking a before and an after, and you're putting that into a carousel and putting it out, because the history of people seeing your stuff means they want to see more of that content. And Instagram is going to feed that content to them. If they like your before and afters, they're going to keep liking your before and afters. And Instagram is going to keep sending them your before and afters, or any of your content. So that history over time, that engagement between you and your followers, or you and your non-followers, but your lurkers who love your content but haven't followed you yet, that is really important to keep. And then the third piece, I've said consistency multiple times now. When I say consistency, I think it's really important to define consistency for you all, in that it means, what is the consistent action that you can continue to do over time? So it's not necessarily, I want you to post 3 times a week and engage every day and make sure you're going live twice a month. I mean, I would love that. If you all can do that, that is the dream. That's what we do when you hire us to do social media for you. That's like the basics. But that is something, I have a team of 5 and we work 40 plus hours a week. You are an entrepreneur. So if your consistency is 1 post a week, that is fabulous and well and good, because I promise you, in a year, your skills will be built up, your content level will be built up, and you probably will be up to twice a week, or maybe even 3 times a week. But you have to start with where you are now and teach the algorithm, yep, every Monday I'm going to have a post for you. And here it is. Because that way they know, oh, we're going to have a post on Monday from, Samantha, and we can then go ahead and slot that in where we need it to be. We can rely on Samantha for Monday content. So that's kind of the 3 very broad, vague buckets. And I know, Samantha, you're going to have a couple of specific questions that we'll dive into, but that's how I want you to look at your social media, not as, oh, I have to post every day, or I have to engage every day, or I have to be live every day. It's what's working for me. How can I do more of what's working? And what is the consistency that I can keep up over time?
Love it. Well, and I think for a lot of us, the reason it's so overwhelming is the idea of, oh, I have to do this every day, or I have to do this, or I should be doing XYZ. And I think that's where a lot of us get stuck, because, like you said, as entrepreneurs and all the plates we have spinning, we might even be moms and wives and, all the things. It's like, oh, to add another thing that's going to be something I have to do, and I don't enjoy it, or I don't whatever. And so I love that you also said finding what you enjoy doing
Yeah.
and seeing if that will work, because people feel our energy. If you're not enjoying it and you're dreading having to do the thing, that energy is going to come across in your content, and
Yeah.
people are going to be like, they're going to feel that energy.
Yeah, absolutely. Y'all, money flows where joy thrives. That is just what I have seen through clients and in my own business. When I'm doing something that I'm excited about and I'm sharing about it in a joyful, open way, that content always does 10 times better than the thing that someone said I should try to do on my account, or the thing that the client was like, this other person is doing this, so I want to do this too. It's like, no, we have to really tap into who you are and how you're serving people, because that's the thing that's going to really, separate you from the pack, make you really unique, and call in your ideal clients.
Yeah, which, we talk about ideal clients a lot in business on everyone's, everything. But
Yeah.
all ideal client means is like someone you would enjoy having coffee with, someone that would be a friend. Like, why wouldn't we? If we're going to build this business, we're going to put all this time and effort to then have to deal with hard clients that we hate going to work every day. Like, that doesn't sound like a
Mm-mm.
good time. No, thank you. We might as well stay at our 9 to 5 because if we're going to be just as miserable as we were there, or, a lot of us get into
Exactly.
this because we want more time freedom, but we
Mhm.
also want more joy, which is like you said, money flows. Say that phrase again. That was
Oh,
awesome.
this is just my little thing. Like money flows where joy thrives. I just, like I remind myself of that so often. And for me, I changed my business up a lot in the last year because I found I wasn't I wasn't feeling joyful in the process anymore. And so that's where these like Get Social Happy VIP days came. And I'm wrapping up my first one of the year with this client. And this woman was like, "Do you mind if I pull a tarot card for us before we start today?" And I was like, "Could you please? Like, let's just do it." And it's so easy and effortless. And seeing other people feel relieved, that's what I want for all of us, and we all know we've had people work for us before where you're like not happy with what's coming out and they're not happy with what they're putting in. So like it's not good for either of us if we're in relationships with clients where like I don't want to see you and you don't want to see me. Like there's just too much tension there.
Way too much. I had to actually, fire my first client ever, for
Oh,
my organizing business a couple months
yeah.
ago. I had worked with her for almost a year. She was actually one of my favorite clients when we first started working together. She was making so much progress, and then over time, my boundaries started being crossed, like, a lot of things started happening that the old me, before I started being an entrepreneur, would have just dealt with it. I would have
Yeah.
been like, okay, just walk all over me. I'm a doormat. I'm just going to tell you what you want to hear. New me doesn't do that. I'm like, I'm sorry. Like, you yelling at your husband in front of me is not okay. You yelling at me while I'm here to help you is not okay. And so
Mm-mm.
it was hard to do, but at the same time, it was so liberating because it's like, here's my line. Don't cross this. And then
Yeah.
we can both be happier in the relationship that we have together as client and, service provider. Um,
Absolutely.
yeah, and I
Yeah.
think a
And
lot of us forget that like we are allowed to have boundaries and lines and, things that bring us joy, and then push for those things even on social media. Like, it doesn't have to
yes.
be a chore.
Yeah. And like, let's talk about boundaries with your social media, right? Because a lot of people, the complaints I get lost in the feed, right? I don't know what to do. I feel like I'm wasting my time. So if we talk about those, like you getting lost in the feed, well, do you have a goal when you open that account? I like to teach a daily engagement method that allows people, and I believe we went over this in class, right? The daily fit, the review, respond, reach out. Um, but if you know exactly what you need to do, you're going to have an objective. You're going to go in, you're going to get those things done, and hopefully you've set a timer and then you're out. You're not wasting your time and just getting sucked in because all of these platforms are built knowing how our brains work. They know that they're giving us hits of dopamine. They know that some of us are more susceptible to those things than others. So it's not your fault. But when we can set up boundaries, you're going to have such a better relationship with your marketing and your online presence. It's just going to be better.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's also what I mean when I say like systems, because it's the same thing as organizers working with
Yeah.
clients. Like, we have, like, for me, I do sessions. It's a 3 hour session, what we get done in those 3 hours. Like, so it's kind of the same thing where it's like you set a timer, which I don't set an actual timer, but you can,
Yeah.
even working with clients, that works, help them declutter. If it's something they don't want to actually do, if you set a timer and you're like, okay, let's just dive in for this amount of time, get it done, and then we're out. It's exactly what you said. There's something about our brain that it just helps us be like, okay, I can do this for 20 minutes, or I can do this for, whatever time frame that is. So I love that you brought that up because it definitely works with our clients as well.
Yeah. Yeah. And the way you do anything is the way you do everything. So if that is a system that works for you in your business, let's bring it over to social. Like there are clues in your business. Like, what are the things that are working really well for you? I bet you anything you can make content about that for your social media. You can share photos or videos, or you can, do a live about that thing for social media. That's what people want.
Yeah, we were actually talking about this in a group coaching session the other day, and how a lot of us were talking about when you sit down at the computer or on your phone to post, the inspiration does not just come on in a moment. That's not when the inspiration comes. The inspiration for content comes when you're in the shower or when you're working with a client or when you're at a consultation or when you're, whatever. And I was telling them, I call it my neon sign moments. Like anytime a
Yeah.
client is like, oh, that's good, or like they get excited about something, that's something I could turn around and make content about. That's something that I could turn around and make a podcast episode about. Because if one person's getting excited about it, then more likely than not, someone else will as well. And
Absolutely.
what I love about that is that we can create content like it's in our daily lives if we're looking for it.
Yes.
And
Yes. And
you are a prime example of that because I've watched some of your, I guess they're shorts, reels, whatever you want to call them, the little videos. I'm so bad at Instagram. I'm sorry, I'm learning.
it's good.
Um,
We're all good.
yeah. But yours are like they seem very like off the cuff and like, hey, look what I'm doing right now, or like, oh, I just had to hop on and tell you all this quick little thing. I'm like, wow. And in the moment, you look so fantastic doing it. It inspires
That's a
me to where
filter.
I'm like, yeah. Where I'm like, "Ooh, I want mine to look like that and seem like that." But it's very like engageable because you come off very authentic and natural and like, "Hey, this is I was just going through my day and here's this thing that happened." So
Mhm.
then people are able to connect with you instead of it being a very stiff like, oh, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's because that's my superpower, right? I can lean into those quick moments, and it's when I look at my numbers, those are the things that get most engagement. So I know, oh, I should do more of that, right? It's not just like I was like, oh, everybody do these quick little story bites or, whatever. Like that's what works for me. So that's what I know to lean into. And it's interesting. So this client that I'm working in with right now, she works with authors, fantasy and YA novelists, which is so fun. But when we were looking through her content, she has this like image of just half her face showing, and her assistant was really trying her to have her remove that photo. And I was like, why? This is where all of our engagement happens. And so we were able to find a really fun way for her to use that kind of photo where she's holding a book up or she's holding a cup of tea up or she's doing something. And it, for her audience, there's just something about that works. And unless you look at your history, you won't know that for yourself. So yeah.
Yeah, well, and it's the same with, even the podcast. Like recently I did a off the cuff workshop in my free Facebook group, where I did 3 days of a workshop and it was almost like a last minute, like, I might as well pop this over on the podcast. I didn't even edit them, which is not like me. Normally I edit. And those episodes went like skyrocketed and I'm like, oh. And then I noticed that a lot of the others that are in my top 10 are actually me teaching. I'm like, okay, I need to do more episodes of me teaching and like, or even like a quick tip Tuesday or just something. Like it gave me that hint of what I need to lean into this year.
Mhm.
I love the interviews and getting but obviously my client or my listeners also love the me teaching part too. And
Mhm.
I don't have many of those episodes. And so I'm like, okay, there's a hint. Now I need to lean into that. And I love teaching. I don't know why I don't have more of those episodes. I just haven't.
Yeah.
Uh, but I would have never thought of it if I hadn't looked at my numbers and looked to see what people were actually downloading and listening to.
Yeah. And I find that everybody thinks the answers are out there, like, oh, I'm just going to watch this video about it, or I'm going to watch, I'm going to take a new class, or I'm going to do a new thing. Like the answers are literally all where you are right now. You just have to take the time to look into it. Um, And it's so unique for each person. That's why I love working with individuals and entrepreneurs, is because I get to jump into your business and become a partner with you and be like, oh, this is your brand. This is how you spark with people. And then we're able to create so much content around that. So yeah, it's truly, the answers are inside you. And I know we don't want that because it does mean a little bit of work, but a little bit of work is a lot better than signing up for 10 more classes and trying to look for the answer outside. So
Well, and honestly, I love that you just said that, because just yesterday I had a moment with God where, long story short, essentially I had a feeling, I was like, I need to create essentially like a sober self-assessment for entrepreneurs, because looking inward for us and being able to like get real with ourselves is
mhm.
very hard. And it's exactly what you said. We're constantly trying to fill our time with, and I'm 100%. I do this all the time where I'm like, oh, another YouTube video, or another, I'll find it on YouTube University or another podcast.
Yeah.
But when we have all those other voices coming in, no wonder it's so hard for us to figure out, well, who am I? Because right now, if I'm listening to like 5 different people, well, I have a piece of each of those 5 people, but I don't know who I am. And I'm not any
Mhm.
of those people. And so for me, I was like, that is something that I need to help them create, because as entrepreneurs or as women, even starting our business, we almost have these expectations of, okay, I'm going to get my website done today. I'm going to launch it tomorrow. I'm going to work with clients the next day. And then there's also the consistency and nurturing piece that has been coming up a
Yeah,
lot recently for me, where I'm like, we have to nurture and be consistent with what we're doing and who we're helping now. We can't keep jumping around, not, like, oh, let me try this. Oh, that didn't work 2 days later. Well, let me try this other thing. Well, that didn't work. Like, it's that bouncing around that makes it to where it's never going to work.
absolutely. Absolutely. I like to say, you want to be in business for longer than 30 days. So don't think your social media is going to change in 30 days. This is honestly a long-term marketing plan for yourself. And stop thinking of it as this like silly little thing that's happening. This is free marketing for your business. And if you invest your time and resources wisely, you will have a client flow coming to you. And even better than that, now what we're seeing is, social media accounts, we're not seeing the clicks through to like other things like buying a course right off of social media. But what we are seeing are those lurkers and those people engaging with your content so that when you are ready to sell, they're ready to buy, so you are building this community and it takes people time to get to know you. You have to give them that time. You have to, really invest in that because it will come back to you later, but it won't come back to you tomorrow. So think about that as well. Like, okay, what are my resources for the year? How do I want to invest in my marketing? And your marketing is your social media, it is your newsletter, it is your website, it is your blog, it is all of those things. And at some point, they're each going to need attention. So,
Yeah. And each one of them are going to need a system, which we were just talking about this before we popped on. Like for me, I am a mom, I'm a wife, I have a podcast, I have a group coaching community that I'm in all the time and helping my women. I'm working with clients as an actual professional organizer at least 4 to 6 days a week.
ugh,
Like there's a lot of plates spinning. And then on top of that, I'm trying to create my courses to help women start their organizing businesses. And now I'm also looking at my social media. And
yeah.
so, like we were talking about, for me, it wasn't the time yet up until now. This past year or two has been focus on the podcast, get those systems in place. Okay, now focus on the group coaching community, get those systems in place. And I know each one of those plates I'm spinning, I look at them as long-term games. Like it's like, okay, this year, this is what I'm focusing on, not
Yes.
not tomorrow or not this month. You have to have that, because for me, this is something I'm growing to do for a very long time. Like I do
Mhm.
not plan on quitting anytime soon. And when we go into it with that mindset of, okay, I'm planting seeds now that I know are going to grow later. If we aren't looking at it that way, of course we're getting frustrated, because you will never see the viralness that people think like, oh, we're going to go viral with one post. maybe you're
Yeah.
somebody I can ask. Have you ever seen that happen where like one viral post made somebody like a millionaire or something?
No, I've never seen it happen. And I've been in business since 2014. Now I have seen clients have a viral post, but if they're not supported, like I worked with this one woman who is very well known like in the gaming industry. And she had a couple of viral posts happen, but when we were working with her and when that happened, she didn't have a newsletter set up. She didn't have a website, where people could go and purchase things. So she had all of this attention and all of these clicks and then kind of lost out on that momentum. So I really love working with people when they're like, okay, I know who I want to help. I've been, here's my website, here's some content I've written. Because if we have those pieces in place, I look through you for clues and I find little things and I'm like, this is your key on social. Like this is your this is the content we're going to make around this, and we can create a plan and you can run with that. And that too relieves you of the stress, because when you're like, oh, I don't have to think about my marketing anymore, you get to focus on how you can deliver for your membership, how you can deliver for your clients. And that experience is what's going to bring more of those brilliant little, moments where you can share, oh, this great thing happened today. And B, it's going to build that community and the long-term clients that you really want, because we want to be in business for a long time. I hope I never have to go work for anybody ever again. So
Yeah, me too. Well, and what I'm hearing you say is kind of also what I teach, where it's like, let's get your foundation. Like the foundation when you are building a business, it takes time. It takes like the effort. I was just telling my husband last night, I'm like, I need to do some sort of post series, something or another, where I go back and like tell people more about when I first started, because people
yeah,
see you when you're a little farther along, right? For me, I spent almost a year researching how to start a professional organizing business. Then I spent another like 6 months getting my website done, doing client research, figuring out my ideal client. Like there, and that whole time I was working another job
yeah,
and doing that on the side and learning as much as I could, and then making sure my foundation was solid, because I knew once it started building on itself, I would not have time to go back and fix those things that
mm-hmm.
at the moment I had time for, but I was okay with it being a slow and steady growth. So then once it does start to grow, there's not a bunch of leaks everywhere that
Yeah.
I'm trying to go back and fix.
Yeah, absolutely. It's interesting because I never thought this would be my full-time job. I never like I term it as my other dream job because I'm also an actor. This was going to be like my little side thing. And I think it was 3 years before this was my sole income, acting as a sporadic income here and there. So that's not like that was ever going to be a sole income, but it definitely took me 3 years to get to the point where I was making, 50,000 a year just through Lil Shameless Plug. And then the pandemic happened and everything exploded, and people needed online marketing more than ever before. So then we really, really grew a ton, but it takes time, and I wish it didn't. I wish we could all say, tomorrow you're going to jump on and grab your Instagram account, and in 3 months you're just going to have so many clients. But I have to be real with you, which is that's not the case. But you will probably in 3 months have people who are aware of you and how you work. And then in another 3 months, they're going to be ready to, see what your pricing is. And then 3 months after that, they might be ready to work with you. So it takes time. Oh, and one tip, because we are talking to people about getting started here. Right now, if you're thinking, oh my gosh, they just told me so much. And, I do want to get the IG Life course that's in Samantha's membership group, but I just don't know what to do. Today, go and at least make sure that your accounts are secure, meaning you have the Instagram account you want with the name. If you have a Facebook, you have the Facebook that's that name. If you're still on Twitter, AKA X, you have that. Just secure on all of the accounts your name, and you only have to put one post up, and that post can say something like, hey, it's Lauren. I'm not here very much. If you want more information about me, go to my website. Because at least having the proper name on all of those accounts is going to help you when people search up, search Samantha's organizing business and there's all of your social accounts on the same page. It's social proof now. You look like you're actually in business if you actually have a Facebook account and an Instagram account. It's what websites used to be, when we were looking into things. So that's your homework if you do nothing else today.
Yeah, no, I love it. And then if you want to dive deeper, of course, come join us in the group coaching community. But, for that really matters, making sure that you have, like you said, because the people go search you on Google. Like any of you listening, think about the last time that you needed, let's say, a plumber or an electrician or like a whatever. You go to Google and you're like, okay, plumbers near me or restaurants near me. But, for service providers, plumber near me, you start looking. First, you're going to look at how many Google reviews they have and like the stars. Then you're going to start scrolling down and see how many places they show up online, which is why I tell people like, get your socials, get on Google for sure in your website, but also make sure, even if you just go do like, let's say a thumbtack or like on Find My Organizer, you go put yourself on there. Those are free platforms that you don't necessarily have to be using. But if your name is on there, that's more places you're showing up. So when they do that Google search, they can see like, oh, they really are legit. They're in more than just one or two places online.
And you don't have to, as you said, you don't have to keep all of those things up, but pick one, okay, Instagram's my jam. I call it your hero platform. Know what your hero platform is. Make sure you're keeping that updated. And the others just own them. Just own your name on all the platforms. That's all I ask. That's all I ask.
No, completely. I agree. And, I also was talked to the members a lot about like, let's create a system to where you're using the exact same content essentially. And whatever your hero platform is, pop it on there, pop it on Google, and, maybe pop it on Find My Organizer once in a blue moon and your website once in a blue moon. But like have a system to where you're using the same things you're creating on Canva or on Instagram. And what I actually just learned the other day, which it never even registered in my head, and maybe you can confirm this, it's actually better to create content for Instagram and pop that over to Facebook than vice versa.
Yeah. And so I say that every single platform is like a game, right? We're not going to play Monopoly using the rules of chutes and ladders because we would never be able to win. That wouldn't make any sense. And so absolutely, we're going to create something for Instagram. That is the best way to do it. And you're going to post it over to Facebook. But what I hope you don't do is just have it auto-populate, because Facebook, when people are scrolling through, right, they're going to be like, why are there so many hashtags on this post? Oh, this person isn't here. They're on Instagram and they're just forwarding their content. All you have to do is copy that content, schedule it on Facebook separately and have it go. Remove the hashtags. Now you have two pieces of content. They're going to be appropriate for each. And the same thing with Instagram or with LinkedIn. I could see LinkedIn for certain of your clients if they're dealing with a certain, business or a certain level of like, oh, I work with CEOs on making sure their offices are organized, whatever. That on LinkedIn, photos are not the way. So all you got to do is take the caption from your Instagram post and just post the words, then you have a LinkedIn post too. Like that's repurposing your content is so brilliant. And people are like, well, aren't people going to see the same thing everywhere? Please,
No.
if someone reaches out to you and they say, I saw your post on LinkedIn and your post on Instagram today, and they are exactly the same, give them a candy bar. Say, thank you for paying attention to me, because nobody ever pays attention. Like the human brain, actually, there's something called the rule of 7. It takes us 7 to 10, and now it's more like 11 to 12 touches to actually recognize something. To even recognize something. So just putting that content out, we're not oversaturating people. People probably the third time you put a post out, they're going to be like, I love that post. You're like, thank you. I put it out 3 months ago as well. And 3 months before that. And you're just now recognizing it. So that's happened to me. I put an email out about like all the reasons why I was leaving Twitter. And then I gave a good like resource of like how to know if a platform is for you or not. I used that piece of content multiple times. And I think it was the second or third time I'd used it. Someone emailed me back and was like, this is so brilliant. Thank you. And I'm like, great. You liked it the last time I shared it as well. They don't know. They don't know. So, and it's not
Yeah.
because they're stupid. It's because there's so much going on for all of us. The right thing is going to hit the right person at the right time. And we just have to
Yeah.
trust that.
Absolutely. And I've always heard it said, because it is timing too, like you just said, but I've always heard it said that, like, if you are not repeating yourself so much that you're getting sick of hearing yourself say whatever the thing is as an entrepreneur, then you're not saying it enough.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
because people have not had a chance to hear it. We
Mhm.
assume that everything we put out, everyone else knows. But if we were to look at ourselves and even people that we love and that we follow, do we really pay attention to every single thing they put out on every single platform? No, like, we have no
No.
idea. And so
Yeah.
I think we've got to get out of our own heads. We've got to get out of our own way, and we've got to decide. I was actually with one of my coaching clients today. She just posted for the first time today her about her the fact that she's starting an organizing business, and it has taken me probably 2 months of us talking about this, because this was her biggest fear, was just
Yeah.
putting it out there. And I reminded her, I was like, listen, this is like, be proud of yourself. This is one step at a time. That's all you have to focus on, is what is my next step? Okay, let's do that one. All right, now what's the next step? Now let's do that one. But give yourself a pat on the back for the fact that you actually posted on.
Yes.
I told her, I said, I don't care what you say. I don't care where you put it, but I need you to practice action in the face of fear. Because as an
Mhm.
entrepreneur, if you cannot follow through with things and look fear in the face and say, sorry, fear, I'm doing this anyways for my business, then you're going to have a hard time as an entrepreneur, because we are constantly stepping into new things that are very scary.
Yeah. Always. That's the name of the game, and feeling fear is being brave. Like nobody's like, I'm just going to do this thing. Like there's always resistance on, through that. So the other thing I love about social media, and this is so weird, but it's just something I see. When you post, it makes it authentic, but it also seems to call in opportunities. The universe works in very mysterious ways. And whether it's God or a creator or whatever it is you believe in, just by her saying, I'm in business, I bet you anything, some little weird magical thing of like a sister of a friend is going to be like, oh my gosh, I've been looking for someone. I didn't know you do that. Tell me more. Like it's
Mhm.
just, you're going to
Yeah.
get rewarded by putting your dreams out there and by consistently saying them, because it's that affirmation that we're all looking for. So
Yeah.
sometimes people
And
go a
honest,
little,
yeah, no, I was gonna say, honestly, my husband's grandmother, which we've been together like 17 years, so she's my grandmother too, essentially.
yes.
But she called me this morning and she said, honey, I have something I need to tell you. She said, in the Bible where it says, speak those things that are not as though they were. She said, I felt like I needed to tell you that. And I was like, you know what, Nana, you're right. Like, I need to start being more
Yeah.
aware of the words coming out of my mouth. And even if I'm not seeing it right now, still speaking it that it is going to be. Like, that is
Mm-hmm.
a huge reminder. She's like 92 years old, but
The
I mean,
wisdom, the
yes,
wisdom.
yes.
Yes.
And
Yes.
so, on that note, I just wanted to remind all of you listening, for sure, if you're hearing this, you should be hearing this in this moment, of step into that action and start speaking those things that, even if they haven't happened yet, they're going to happen. So speak them into existence and believe that they're going to happen for you.
Mhm.
I love it. Oh my gosh. Thank you
Yeah.
so much. Okay. So tell everyone where they can find you and like all the goods.
Super excited. Okay, so still right now, the best way to find me is my Instagram account at lauren.lit, Litt. And I am starting a new Instagram account. It's wild, you all. So, but if you follow that, you'll be able to follow the new account. But there, if you are looking for your next best thing to get started, I have an amazing quiz, the Social Happy Cocktail Quiz, that is going to help you identify your inhibitions online and release them so you can find your ideal client. No alcohol is required. So go ahead and take the Social Happy Cocktail Quiz. Absolutely let me know what you get, because I want to know. And also, I think it's really fun.
I love it. I'm going to go take it just so I can see what I get.
I can't wait
love
to
it.
know. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so, so much for coming into the membership, for teaching. I mean, I swear to you, like, I don't know how many times someone's asked me an Instagram question and I'm like, go watch the workshop again. I don't know the answer. Just go watch the workshop again. And they
No.
do. And then they come back and they tell me the answer. And I'm like, oh, okay, that's good to know.
Oh, it was in the workshop. Great. That's good.
Yeah. It has been every single time, whatever their question has been. Like, it was such a good workshop, truly. And then
I
thank
might
you
have
for
to
coming
pull that
on.
back out in 2024, man. That's that IG life. It's a little good one. So I'm so glad that everybody's getting so much out of it.
Yeah, I am so grateful to you. And I, for all of you listening, we will definitely catch you in the next one. Go follow Lauren and see how she is living it up on Instagram.
Yeah.
Yeah.